Hello, hello. This is Pattyjo. I just wanted to give my new but borrowed equipment a go. It's been a long time since I've worked with anything as far as Mac is concerned because, of course I couldn't afford it, but thank you to the person who is lending me this equipment. Let's see if this does this a little bit better. I picked kind of an older situation, but one that I do have a little bit more expertise in, which, involves a person who has some physical disabilities due to some past trauma. And as a paramedic, I can definitely identify with some of the needs here, but this is a police cam video. This is something that was investigated. I don't know the full extent of everything, but I have a couple of videos here that I'd like to get started with. It happened in Dayton, Ohio about a year ago, where we're just going to get started. This is a traffic stop. The person involved in the person in the car was seen leaving a house that was suspected or known to deal with narcotics of some sort, and so they stopped him for increased tint. Before I've seen a couple of different sections of the police cam, of the body cam, and it appears that at the beginning of the stop he cooperates, gives his license, and so forth, just as expecting a ticket. But then, of course, they move on to wanting to do the dog sniffing, and this is where we come up to some problems here. So, as you can see, this is a police stop. I think it backs up in a minute, hopefully.
Somebody help! Somebody help!
Yeah, I'm out of I can't step out the car, sir. What you got to do? I got help getting out. Well, I hope you're getting out. I'm going to help you get out. I'm going to help you get out.
Okay, so I am going to stop here because according to this and according to the investigation thing that was put up on YouTube that we will watch, this is the officer offering to help him to get out. But let's back up. He's saying he's a paraplegic. If somebody says I'm a paraplegic, you really kind of have to believe them. It's not something you just, pretend that you are. There are varying spectrum of disability as far as that's concerned. Some people can still have some feeling. It could be incomplete injury. Some people could have some physical therapy that had brought back a little bit of control, but not very much, depending, on where the injury is. Do they have control of their hips or not? Is it flaccid, or is there some control? But generally, if somebody says they're a paraplegic, as a paramedic, I'm going to assume that I am assisting with anything below the waist. That's just my full stop. But we're going to move on here, and he's going to say something that where he's escalated this. He's not de-escalating. Okay, so the guy has said, I can't get out of the car. He's going to say, I don't want you to help me. And I don't know. I think I kind of side with the guy, whether or not he is committing a crime or not. If he just can't, you can't just assist him out of the car. I mean, I have arthritis, and if they wanted me to get out of the car, they would have to assist me out of the car. If they wanted me to get out faster than I can. He is... You can't just assist him out of the car. There has to be a plan for when he gets out, because he's going to fall to the ground. Like, assist him, and then what? What is your plan? So let's take a listen to what the officer is going to say here, because he escalates this, in my opinion.
I don't think that's going to happen.
You guys can tell me.
I can't get out of the vehicle, sir. I'm going to assist you out of it. Have someone assist you in the vehicle. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not going to touch me. And you're definitely not about to touch me. I cannot step out. I'm a paraplegic. I cannot. I'm a paraplegic, sir. Come on, bro. It's another car. I cannot step out of the car. I cannot.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard it or if they cut it, but he basically says, you stepped in, you can step out. And he said, and the guy said, I had assistance. You know, I think he didn't go far enough. He had assistance by somebody who knows how to assist him. You can't there's no plan for this guy. So as you can see, he's just taking the seatbelt off, and he's taking him out of the car. Out of the car to what? This person can't stand next to the car. Are you going to take him somewhere where he can sit? Does he require something behind him to sit? So are you going to carry him to your car? I mean, what is your plan? He doesn't have a plan here. Personally, at this point, either he can get his own assistance to the scene, or you can call a medic or an ambulance to the scene. I personally would get a backboard, scoot him on the backboard to a stretcher where he could be seated, and we could just put him, move him out of the way so they could conduct their investigation. Or we can put him in the back of the medic. He doesn't have to necessarily go anywhere, but we could have done that in a way that he would not be injured. But let's move along here, because this is going to get disgusting.
You got in the car. You can get out of the car. You got in the car.
You can get out. That's not true. You're just escalating.
That's not an option. You're getting out of this car.
In my opinion.
So you can cooperate and get out of the car, or we'll drag you out of the car. You see your two options here?
And they defend this officer. I don't agree with that. I think he's uneducated.
Paraplegic, bro. You can hurt me. You can hurt me, bro.
And that's true.
You're making me. I'm a paraplegic, bro. I'm trying to tell you that I got help getting in the car. Y'all hurt me. Get out of the car.
And then the hair. Oh my God. And then they.
Somebody help! Somebody help!
Then they restrain with knees. Look at, they're restraining the leg like the leg's gonna move. Where's the leg gonna move?
Somebody help! I'm a paraplegic! They are doing the horrible thing to me! Somebody please help me! Stop! Stop!
Look, he does have a lot of atrophy.
Stop! I'm a paraplegic!
So this is not a new injury. He has a lot of atrophy.
Making this worse than it needs to be.
No, you're making it worse.
I gave y'all everything y'all asked for.
Cooperate. Do not cooperate.
Can y'all call the real police, please?
Look at how they have their leg on his hips. Like, where's his hips gonna go?
You make it so much harder than what it has to be. You make it so much harder than what it has to be.
Ugh. Okay. Let's move on to this. This is I don't know how much later this is. They do have the body cam, more of the body cam, but the voice on the body cam, there's a couple of echoey parts. I think it's because we're listening to multiple body cams or how they put it up. And I was having difficulty parsing that out. That's why I put that part on. So basically where I think they went wrong, and this is an education piece, is as soon as he said this is a traumatic medical issue ongoing, he can't just get out of the car. Those officers are not qualified for moving patients. He is now, in that capacity, a person who requires somebody with either who has been trained by his physical therapist or doctors or something. He requires assistance where somebody's been trained. And an ambulance would be fine. I would get my backboard. I would scoot it under his bottom. I would marry it to my cot. I would scoot him out onto the cot into a seated position where he's secured. and then he could sit either outside or inside at the back of the medic. And as far as I'm concerned, I would sit there and wait until it. I'm told that I need to be transporting it, or he can refuse and be released to the police. In a way that he's, where's his wheelchair? They didn't even ask. Like, okay, where's your wheelchair? So I'll put you in your wheelchair. They didn't even ask that. Okay, but let's see what the investigation says, because up to that point, I'm with the police. They were trying to investigate, and then it just turns into a dumpster fire.
Here in the city of Dayton. This briefing has been prepared so that you may have a better understanding of the circumstances which led to the use of force based upon what we know at this time in the investigation. We understand this incident has sparked a lot of emotional reaction here in the community in Dayton, Ohio, and we ask for your patience as we investigate this incident to its fullest.
They're just not qualified.
Since June of 2020, the city of Dayton and the Dayton Police Department have been engaged in an extensive process in the interest of improving community and police relations. Dozens of members of the Dayton Police Department, along with 100-plus community members, have established 142 recommendations. The majority of these recommendations are either completed or in progress. On Thursday, September 30th at 12:27 p.m., officers were on patrol in the 1900 block of West Grand Avenue here in Dayton, Ohio. Officers had been alerted to a suspected drug house in that area, which they were monitoring for detectives of the Narcotics Bureau of the Dayton Police Department. Officers initiated a traffic stop on a white Audi that was observed leaving the residence. Officers approached and made initial contact with the driver.
Now, this guy's not an angel. He's got tint that's above or below the recommended safe, amount. He's got a child in the back of the car that's not in a car seat. He doesn't offer up his wheelchair or say how they can help him. They're not.
Driver, Clifford Owensby, who provided them with his identification.
So he provides them.
Officers took his identification back to the cruiser and ran his information. Based upon Owensby's felony drug history and weapon history, along with him leaving a suspected drug house, the officers requested a Narcotics Bureau canine to respond to the scene for a free air sniff on the motor vehicle.
Okay.
Officers reapproached the vehicle and asked Mr. Owensby to exit. Dayton Police Department policy requires that occupants of the vehicle to exit for their own safety and the safety of the canine officer to perform this free air sniff.
But we're totally not qualified if you're not an able-bodied person, and we're just going to turn into a bunch of, we're just going to demand that you become able-bodied. I don't know. I mean, did you ask for a wheelchair? We're going to help you. Help me what? Because you didn't ask for his wheelchair. He didn't offer it up. Dumpster fire. Total thing.
Explained his policy to Mr. Owensby and requested for him to exit the vehicle. Owensby stated that he couldn't because he was paraplegic. Officers then offered to assist Mr. Owensby in getting out of the vehicle,
no, they didn't.
To which he refused.
They demanded. Because they're not qualified.
Owensby asked for a supervisor to respond to the scene and continued to refuse commands or assistance from the officers.
They're not
to get out of the
assisting.
vehicle.
Oh my gosh.
As the officers began to remove him from the vehicle,
Owensby
grabbed onto the steering wheel of the car in an attempt to prevent the officers from removing him from the motor vehicle. By his hair.
He's not helping either.
He was then forcibly removed from the vehicle. Officers then placed Owensby on the ground in order to secure him. Officers had to then pull his arms behind his back in order to handcuff him.
There's another piece. Where they have him on the ground, they're actually doing the same motions they would do with an able-bodied person who is resisting. He is only able to resist from the waist or hips up. He is not able to resist on the legs, yet they're continuing to place their knees on his atrophied body below that point. I would be worried that they're injuring him. And that's what he was trying to say.
There was also an unrestrained 3-year-old child in the backseat of the vehicle who was later removed by an officer.
He's just... should have had a car seat for the kid.
After being handcuffed, Owensby was then taken to a local hospital where he was examined and released. A large bag of cash was also found in the front floorboard of the vehicle, containing $22,450 in U.S. currency. The Narcotics Bureau K-9 also alerted on that money, meaning that the money had been in close proximity to illegal drugs. You're about to view body-worn camera from the officers involved. The footage contains strong language, so viewer discretion is advised.
Like I said, they go up, they measure his tint. The tint is too dark. They ask for his license and so forth. He gives it to them, and then they're moving on with their investigation to try and see if there's narcotics involved with whatever he's doing. And then he says he can't get out of the car. At that point, he doesn't offer up a wheelchair. They don't ask for a wheelchair. They're obviously not qualified to assist him. So there is a huge education gap, in my opinion, where this is, what are your limitations? Even when they ask people when they're doing the field sobriety stuff, they don't really ask the full gamut of what are your limitations. Do you have any problems walking? You know what? I do. And then I would say what my problems are, and they would still have me try to do it. I guarantee 100%. Yet I no longer have the balance to walk a straight line or hold my leg up the way I used to before I had these medical problems. I don't know. There's just this huge gap. They're expected to understand what able-bodied is and what, when people are not able-bodied, and they obviously do not. So should we look at some of these, Grand Canyon-sized gaps in their education? You tell me, what are they educated to understand about able-bodied and not able-bodied people? And, why didn't he ask for a wheelchair to put this guy in? I mean, he does, even though they're sniffing for the crime narcotic thing, they could have put the guy in a wheelchair, for goodness sakes. I don't know. Please let me know. Like and subscribe, share with your police buddies so that we can get some people in taking a look at this with us. Thank you so much, and let me know how my new equipment is doing and how I'm doing with it.